Y'all have a handout, and the online people.
We don't have Mary. I have it for the stage. We don't have the desktop. Probably had me do it back.
No. You're establishing yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll do it when I get back.
Where I was.
Got it.
Check that out.
Okay. How to get paid on time. For those of you who don't know me, which shouldn't be anybody, I'm Diane Block.
Hey, Diane.
I know, I was just asking, who's Diane?
Well, she said Diane, but she didn't go Diane Keller, or William.
Which Diane?
I'm like, we're staying? Who's Diane?
Actually, there is only one Diane.
I know.
There's
only one.
It's unusual. We've got like several Katies. We've got a couple Rachels.
I need to know if I need to be careful. Right.
Anyway. A lot of this stuff is going to be kind of theory for you guys at this point, because until you've actually kind of gotten into it, it's going to be, it's going to be like, well, what the heck is this? Because a lot of stuff really comes into play once you've got a contract, and by the time you get to the point where you're writing a contract, it's going to be hard for you to remember 4 pages worth of instructions, which is A, why we have it sent out, and B, we've documented it because people were kind of making it up as they went along, which is kind of a recipe for disaster. One of the things we're going to be going through today is, you've already kind of hit the dot loop stuff. I know Stacy went over like setting a file and everything, so I'm not going to bore you with that again. I'm just going to kind of reiterate it. I'm certainly not going to go through and show you how to set up a dot loop file, because you've all been doing that, right? So no reason to do it again. One of the things we're going to be going over is the green sheet. And now the green sheet is something that it's the way that agents communicate to the Market Center Administrator's Office, MCA, the details of the transaction. And y'all might wonder, well, why do I have to do that? Why can't I just give them why don't I just give them a closing check and they're happy? Well, yeah, they're happy when you get that. But when you start running a transaction, we're on the hook for you, right? Because the transaction is written under the brokerage's name. You're the agent, but you're an agent for the brokerage. So we have to be cognizant that there is a contract out there. Also, it's probably going to have earnest money attached to it. A lot of laws about that, and we'll go over that a little bit later. But all this is to say, when you have a contract and when you have a listing, it needs to go into dot loop as soon as possible, because that is how we know you have a deal going on. If any questions come up on it, we can look it up in dot loop and say, oh, okay, that's Ira's deal. Ira, that's also, it goes into our system with Keller Williams International that helps us with our forecasting, just numbers-wise. And it also puts it into a loop where Lynn LaCroix, our compliance broker, reviews it. comes in, it gets accepted, it gets sent to Lynn, Lynn reviews it, then they make a few little comments here and there. So when it goes in, it's going in a lot of different directions. I mean, you're not aware of it because as far as you're concerned, you just turn it into the office. It's actually a lot easier this way. Because it used to be that when you did it, you had to make a copy of the contract, you turned it in. There was usually a stack of papers about that high for the compliance broker to go through. So they would sit there and they would go through and they would go through and then they give them back to you. You may or may not find it in your mailbox, you may or may not. And then it was all hand entered into the system. So it actually added almost, a week to the process. Now it's almost instantaneous, which is pretty cool. Your question?
So when you already have your dot loop for your property and you've already submitted everything, then you have to create another loop to do it, or you can do it within that loop?
No, I'm just reiterating when you start the process on a purchase and sale or a buy. Actually, when you've got a client and you've got a buyer, you probably want to set up a loop for them. I mean, you may not have an address to put in the title yet, but you might have Mr. and Mrs. John Evans.
Like a CRM?
No, they're buyer brokerage agreements.
Creating a new loop.
Okay.
No, because think about it. You have a buyer. Hopefully, you've had a buyer consultation. You've had a buyer brokerage agreement signed, and a wire transfer, and what else?
Affiliated
fraud.
market. Oh, fraud.
Yes, affiliated marketing agreement. So you've got those 3 documents, already in your file. Those you don't have to tell the MCA office about because they're just, one of your clients, and you don't really have anything. You don't have a contract, to go. Yeah, they're really only interested in contracts. They're not interested in your clients. But that way you have it so that when your buyer actually goes out and puts an offer in, you already have that buyer brokerage in there. So you're not, scrambling through your briefcase trying to sign it. I know he signed it when I went there, 3 weeks ago. So it's just one of those things that you just kind of, it's a flow.
I think I was asking, once you're under contract, you can just go ahead and list all your information in that same contract.
Absolutely. Everything stays in there. As a matter of fact, some lists you might find that you have 3 or 4 contracts in because you may have a listing that had a contract, it fell apart. Then get another contract. They can't qualify for financing. Then you get another contract. I mean, you can have as many contracts in a loop as you need to. The only thing you want to do, though, is make sure that each loop has a different folder. And, for example, if this was a listing agreement, it would have your listing documents under here. Your exclusive listing agreement, you'd have probably disclosures. You have your wire transfer, all that stuff. But then when a contract comes through, there's a whole different set of documents, right? You're talking about purchase and sale, exhibits, and all that stuff. That's what they're going to, and we want to keep that together. So you might do another folder here. You might, you add a folder here. Then, name that. You might name it, contract. You might do it by the date. You may do it by the name of the agent. You may do it by the name of the, buyer, whatever. Something that differentiates it. And as long as it keeps continuing to go through, and then if it falls apart, you file the termination, in the thing, you let the MCA's office know that, that's a no-go. And then you archive it, and then you don't see it again. But it's there.
In the case where we get an offer that our sellers don't want to accept, is there any point of putting it in the loop at all?
No.
Okay.
Not until it's binding.
Okay.
If you're working from that direction.
Right.
So anyway, you've got this handout, how to get paid on time. Listings. Any questions about creating a listing folder? I mean, you've already pretty much done that in Ignite, right? Buyers, again, all the different documents. Contracts, creating a folder.
I have a question about the listings.
Sure.
The copy of the FMLS listing.
Why?
Why and how?
Okay. You go to MLS. Excuse me.
one of those.
Well,
Good job.
almost a sneeze. Sorry about that.
Come later.
Okay, when you go to FMLS and you're looking at a property, there's a lot of information on that listing. One of the things that's part of the information is, one, the FMLS number, and two, the amount that they are going to be paying you in commissions.
Okay.
So if you're showing that house and you go out there and you looked at it, I mean, a lot of people don't even pay attention to the commission. You know, they're just focused on getting their person, you know, a house. But, you know, you might glance at it and see what kind of commission they're offering. You look at it, it says 3%. You go, sweet. Sometimes it might say 3.5% if they're really desperate to get rid of it, right? So you print that little sucker off, you have it, you put it in your file. Because occasionally, if the deal wasn't as much as maybe everybody was, you will have somebody who might try to go in and change that commission to 2.5%.
Okay.
You have the 3%, you have the proof that it was offered at 3%.
If they relist, let's say it was at 3%, and then they change the listing agent changes it to 2.5%. But you showed it while it was 3%, you get paid 3%.
Only if you can prove that you were showed at 3%.
Which is why you're printing this out.
Exactly.
With it but there's no time and date stamp when you print it out.
Can be. I mean, it depends on how you print it off. You know.
You can always change file name, but
But yeah, you can put it in, you know, but you know, the point is you have to go in there, you have to change that little teeny tiny 2.5 to a 3.
Right.
You have to get the font right. You have to do all, I mean, you probably could, but that's a lot of trouble to go to. Easier just to have say, hey, look, I don't know what, and FMLS can tell when it was changed, but this way you can just say, hey, oh, yeah, 3%, yeah. You know, I don't know when you changed it, but you know, when I showed it, it was 3%.
Well, just here's the FMS one we just did. There's 2.4 in the top left corner.
depending on the print.
Yeah.
And then
This is the one that Stacy just printed
right.
out for us.
So down here on the bottom, everything gets commission.
Mm.
So you just, you know, that way everybody, it just keeps everybody honest. I mean, honestly, it doesn't happen, you know.
With Diane's help, you know, and learning from her.
Yeah.
I mean, I take everything that's not necessarily, you know, I guess in .loop, and I scan and create a PDF, and then I add it as a document into the .loop. So that transaction alone, Pete, would timestamp the moment that you basically showed that.
Yeah, I mean, .loop will show when it really goes in. So, I mean, you do have a paper trail. And yeah, that's another thing. You know, it's not just for contracts. You know, you can do another folder that says receipts, and then, you know, any repair receipts can go in there. You can do another folder, you know, for inspections. You can put your inspection report in there. You can put, you know, only thing you can't put in there is pictures. It's really weird.
You can't put a JPEG in there?
No, you have to
you can't
turn it
really
into a
JPEG.
PDF.
It's put, yeah, it
You
only
have
takes
to-
No,
PDF.
didn't you and I do that though?
You've turned it into a PDF.
Yeah, we turned it into a
You have to
PDF when we
turn-
had that personal property thing, remember? You and I did that, so
but
you
that-
can.
Yeah, that's
So you
because
gotta
the
say-
editor allows you to edit PDFs and it won't allow you to edit a JPEG.
Right.
Right.
Well, so, I mean, that's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those quirks. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if you could, you know, if you had a listing, you could, you know, save all your pictures there, but can you imagine how much service space they'd need if they did that?
Mm.
Well, that's why FMLS doesn't have video.
So anyway, anyway, to answer, you know, long answer to a short question, that's why I put it in there.
Okay.
A lot of people don't. I just
Yeah, I
recommend it as a good.
I just did it, like, I was like, I wanna get paid. I just did it, but
It's just-
is
it
it
just
like
keeps
something
everything
that
on.
will like keep, like, the check from coming to us? Like, if it was over,
No.
an
No.
overtime,
This
okay,
is-
it's
this
just
is-
best practice.
This is just, you know, CYA.
Okay.
So.
But you'll have to do that green sheet after the fact, though. I mean, you'll get paid, but they still want that green sheet.
Right, we'll get to that. That doesn't really have anything to do with the green sheet. This is just your backup, that
Right.
when you showed this property, you know, you were offering me 3%, and why did it change? I mean, FMLS can go back and they can check and see when something was changed, but you really don't want to start dragging FMLS. and stuff
Right.
like that.
Mm.
Okay.
It's just easy when you just like,
Mm.
the next part is completing your green sheet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into that right now, since you've all done contracts and everything. And I will say this right now, green sheets are probably going to be going away over the next year. And everybody who's been at Keller Williams for years and years and years are very excited about that prospect because we all see them. And it's not that they're difficult, it's just, one more step, taking data, from different places and putting it together. That's the whole thing about KW Command. It's going to be pulling all this data together in one place, so which is pretty cool. Now, there's a place on Dotloop down here that if you put in the details, have y'all gone over this? How some of the details in, so it auto fills and everything? Okay, so I won't bore you with that again. But if you're doing this, when you go all the way down to the bottom down here, there's a little thing down here that says submit to green sheet.
Oh my God.
Ignore that.
I was thinking I got a shortcut.
Ignore
You
that.
got us excited on that one.
Ignore that. Only because, for some reason, now remember, Dotloop's a separate vendor.
Right.
Somehow, the transition between you, Dotloop, and Keller Williams International, sometimes it gets kerfluggety. That's where I can think of. Either it doesn't get received by the MCA's office, it gets stuck in cyberspace somewhere, it comes through, but some of the data's dropped. Ellie, a long time ago, noticed that most of her problem green sheets came from people using this.
Okay.
So, you get down the bottom, you think, yes. Nope. You have to go back to your Keller Williams homepage, technology, got to get a green sheet. Now, this section up here is if you already have green sheets in the system. It gives you a way to find them easily. However, we're going to be creating one. So we're going to click here. In this case, no, not the agent. And it's not a Keller Williams. If it was, it would probably kick you into a different thing where you could actually pick the property. But that's the way we're just going to put it in. Now, what is it that you notice about this page? Just right off the bat.
Lots of red.
Colors.
Okay. Here's the good news. You only have to fill out the blocks that are in red. Which, as you go further on, you'll be more appreciative. Right. You don't have to put in the MLS number here. You don't have to put in all this. The only things you have to put in are the ones in red that have the little asterisks on them. Now, in this case, green sheet type, residential. Most of you are going to be using residential. You may be using commercial, but for the most part, you're going to be in residential.
All right, so I said create listing, so I went to the wrong spot, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you're not going to create a listing right now.
Well, when I click on here, like you just said on your screen, when I click here, right, it says view listing agent, yes.
Well, really no. Pretend like you're buying.
Okay, all right, so you're a buyer. Okay,
Right.
all right.
If it was your listing, it would already be in the Keller Williams listing system, and you can pull it up.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do that right here.
Okay, so this is from the buyer's perspective.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's the same green sheet whether you're a buyer or a seller.
Okay, now my screen looks like your screen. Good, thanks.
So, in this case, it's going to be almost all residential. Contract date, that's going to be your binding date, not the date on the top of the purchase and sale agreement. Why the binding date instead of the contract, instead of the date on the top?
Everything works off of that. Inspections.
Right. Everything flows from the binding date. Close date, about when you think it's going to close according to the contract. Type. Now this is where it's going to make a difference if you're the listing agent or if you're the buying agent. Listing sold, buyer sold. Occasionally you might have a both listing and sale, better not be dual agency, better be a customer, okay? Because you don't want to represent both sides as a client, right?
Okay, so you're in a dual agency situation. I say, oh, can't do that, so I call up Bob. Say,
Good.
Bob, I need you to do the other
Good.
side. Who does the green sheet?
Both.
But you
Okay.
could use the term dual agent, but one could be, you know, your client, the other could be your customer.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, we don't,
If you
we
want to
don't,
avoid the
we
appearance
don't have to
of
replicate.
Right, well, no, you are going to replicate because
Oh,
it's two
okay.
different accounts, you both getting paid.
Okay.
You're getting paid out of two separate accounts. So, y'all talked about dual agency.
Not in depth.
Okay.
We brushed on
Who
this.
get paid?
You do.
On the dual agency, if you call up another agent, like he was just saying, does he, like, how do they work it out? Both get 3, or does he get more because you told, how does that work?
Well, I'm gonna ask for a
Usually
referral
three.
fee from you.
It's best,
only get one
best
person.
practice is to, bring somebody else in on the transaction because you're trying to avoid the appearance of dual agency because it's really, really, really hard to fairly represent both the buyer and the seller because they have very differing goals.
Right.
And you know something about this one, you know something about this one, well, who do I tell, can I tell? I mean, it's just,
Right.
The bartender.
right. I mean, the only way it's really gonna work, in that case, if one of them is coming in as a customer, and you tell them, Mr. Customer, I cannot represent you. I can write up the paperwork as you direct me to, but I cannot offer you any advice, and I cannot offer you any insight as to the transaction.
It's
Make
legal
a-
in the state of Georgia, it's just not,
It's not best practice.
usual and customary at KW.
It's not, it's not best practice.
Right.
It's just,
If you sign, in your signing paperwork here, you said that you would never conduct a dual agency.
right, it asks you
Not
to.
allowed, it's illegal for
Right.
us here, so.
So we that's why we say, you can do it if you're a customer. If you have two clients, it's when it's dual agency.
Yeah.
If you have a client and a customer, then you're only doing magisterial.
So with that, in being specific and stuff, is like, you're the listing agent and you have a buyer client or two, and you're like, oh, my buyer clients would be great for this house. And you're in the contract as a buyer client, that's the problem, right?
That's the problem.
So if they're a customer and stuff, they wouldn't be
If they
under
come
buyer
in, if they come to
brokerage
an open
agreement.
house and they're unrepresented, ask if they want an agent. If they're experienced buyers, they don't need an agent.
Right, but basically and stuff, if you have them under contract and a buyer and you have a listing then that's the issue, right? It's
You can't have a brokerage
documentation,
agreement on both
it's
sides.
client base.
You can't. I mean, it's
Okay.
just, you're gonna have to.
No problem.
You might wanna take the buyer because remember, when you're writing the buyer's agreement, it's Keller Williams perimeter. So
Mhm.
Keller Williams can reassign that contract to somebody else, which is you finding an agent.
And there's nothing wrong, but in that scenario we just talked about, I call up Bob, say, hey Bob, I got somebody, would you take this half of it?
Bob's like, yeah.
Bob, would
for
you
sure.
also give me a referral fee?
He is.
And Bob says, heck, yeah. Yeah, I mean, some people do, some people don't, it just,
Right.
whatever.
And there is a sheet, right, that we can add to dot loop that has a referral.
Absolutely.
You can also do it like green sheet.
Yeah, it's good to document it.
Green sheet will spell it out also.
So that's what we're working on there. Street number, street name, you don't have to go into the subdivision. Map grid, we don't even use maps anymore, so that's kind of archaic.
Thanks.
Now, people ask, well, it says MLS up here, why do we have to put it down here? It's because these feed into certain things in the southeast region that this one doesn't feed into, that's all. So, active FMLS, amount of earnest money, and who the earnest money holder is. Hopefully, if it's a buyer, it's us. Sometimes,
But that did throw me on that green sheet stuff when it said MLS number and then on the, it said active
it did,
FMLS.
but that's why that's
Right, but you clarified to me that they were looking for the FMLS number.
if it's an FMLS. If it's not an FMLS, you can put the Georgia MLS number, but remember, in FMLS, you're having to pay FMLS, at the end of the transaction. Anybody remember what that fee is?
0218376 pi.
Wrong.
Zero.
Good try.
0.00. No, I think it's a fee per
Like
listing, correct?
$425.
Very, very round numbers, $120 every $100,000.
But would that one red active FMLS category take an MLS number and
No,
bounce it
it's
out?
only for FMLS, because that gives us a signal that we are going to have to transfer money to FMLS.
Right, so if it's only on Georgia MLS and we don't have an FMLS number, we still input the Georgia MLS, because this sheet won't let us save it if
Right.
that's sealed.
Go ahead and put it in there, but just,
Okay.
but if there is no FMLS number, and there may not be, some smaller agencies don't,
Right.
they're not members of FMLS.
Right.
Because they don't want to pay the $120 or the $100,000.
New house
Depends,
construction.
you have to look in FMLS and see if it's
So-
listed.
so
If
if
it's not
in fact-
listed, then
If
it's,
it's not, just call Diane and
If
say.
in-
right,
if in-
you can also put NA,
Isn't, okay,
Okay.
all right,
Or-
all right.
all right, that was
or
it.
put in 6 zeros, you know.
Okay, yeah, Ellie told me and stuff, you just put zeros in and stuff like that, or whatever, but in this particular case, you could put NA and it would accept it.
With the,
Okay.
I think I usually put in just zeros.
She told me zeros,
Yeah.
is what she told me.
Okay, well then
Okay.
do what Ellie does.
Okay.
She's money queen.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you
Um,
said it's $120 for every
100,000.
100,000.
So you've got a $200,000 house,
I
240.
haven't gotten to check it yet.
You're
Um,
welcome.
But it's,
Oh,
you
I
know,
mean, I was like that.
but then of course all percentages of
Bringing Christmas gifts to you.
Okay, so that's the first page. Now, you notice over here on the left-hand side, it has general information, it has different categories. You can actually click on these if you want to, but you can also, just keep going down as you go down.
Next section.
Now, there's only one thing on this section. What does it say?
Sales.
Sales price.
Sales price, okay.
Percentage.
Now, this is important, percentage versus flat. Occasionally, you will have a place where it's just a flat amount. You know, a lot of builders will do this. We'll say, we'll pay you, $6,000. That's all we're gonna pay you. Okay, well, better than nothing. But then, most of it's a percentage. If you're using a percentage, it's, 2.5, 3.0, 3.5, whatever your percentage is, not the entire amount. So, sometimes if you have a listing, you have a tendency to put in like 5%, 6%, 7%, whatever. But it's only your share of the commission. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
And it's 2.5 or it's 0.025?
No, it's 2.5.
So if you just went there and you clicked percentage, and there's two, because there's listing and then also sales commission. So the listing commission is that the total amount?
Well, this one I haven't filled out all my other stuff as far as whether I'm a listing agent or a buyer
Okay.
agent. Yeah, if you fill all that out, it'll actually, only give you what applies to you.
But the listing would be, if it's 6%.
No, she said whatever applies to you specifically, and that's it.
Okay.
Now, I can either go over here and hit this next section,
Okay.
or I can hit this green button down here that says next section. Buyer. Now, look at all that information they're asking. Where does the buyer live? What's their phone number? What's their address? Ellie doesn't care. Only thing we care about is their name. Only because sometimes we have checks, come floating in, or we have other parts of the contract that come floating in. We're trying to match, A and B. So that's helpful to us to know who the buyer is, or the seller. Seller? Buyer. Okay, this is buyer. Next one, same thing with the seller. We don't care where they live. We just want to know what their names are. Agent detail. This is the one that everybody looks at and they start freaking out because they're going, I don't know what all this stuff is. Luckily, most of it is filled in for you. Now you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, you've got these things that are in red. These are the things you're going to be filling out, and a lot of this follows from the first page where you have identified yourself as the listing agent or the selling agent. One of the things that they're doing here is, like for example, up here it says Diane Black, Agent A. The only time, like you'd asked about Agent B, if you all were working together, if you were both co-listed
Right.
a property,
Right.
then there would be an Agent B.
Right.
If you had a buyer you were sharing, I've never heard of that, that you were sharing, then there'd be an A and a B.
Or team?
In a team, team's done a good example. Sometimes the lead agent is on there getting a certain percentage and you're getting a different percentage. But usually, in most cases, it's just going to be you, Agent A. If you have an Agent B, you're not going to be able just to type in their name because they may have a slightly different name in the Winmore system. So if you come over here and you hit this, it's going to say, oh yeah, what's their last name? And you go, oh, him, okay.
Big Brother's watching.
Yeah, we're going to select ours. Great, okay. So now ours are Agent B.
Before you move on the seller page, if it's two sellers, who do you put on there?
I put John and Mary Smith. All the same line.
What if they're not married? It's
John
like a
Smith,
LLC.
John Smith and Carrie King, whatever.
Okay, so just both of their names.
Right.
Okay.
Just something that gives a way to tie it back.
Identify them. Okay.
So just a quick question, Diane. So obviously the green sheet and the technology is at mykw.com. If I was in this scenario an agent stuff from Caldwell Banker.
Then you are not in our market center. So that will pop up in a different category because
right, so
that's an outside referral.
Okay, so in this particular case though, like you being, the agent stuff that we're sharing is the stuff you would put my information in.
Right, it'll let it automatically.
Right, but you would basically advise Ellie, so to speak, and stuff, there's another agent who's supposed to receive.
Well, the contract will show you and me both on it. And if it's a team, Ellie's very much aware of the teams and who's on the teams and what their splits are and all that stuff. So that's kind of built into it too. This truly doesn't happen very often, but the only reason I'm putting it in there is people get confused because they think they have to put a referral agent in there, and I just want to emphasize that it's the person that you are working with, jointly, not the other side of the transaction. Fair enough?
And if a person was in Keller Williams and they were the referral agent, they would be doing their own green sheet. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what would happen is I was doing it, but in this case we're not going to.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Me and another agent, we're working together. We're both in the Ross group, but she's in Atlanta North.
Okay, so she's going to be. Who are you working with?
Her name is her last name is Taylor Ingram. So me and her, we met in a night class, and then after that we worked together on doing like the open houses. So how we're gonna do it is, I still have my full-time job in the daytime. She doesn't. So like anytime someone wants to do something and do admin work, she does all the admin work for me. While I'll be able to show stuff on the weekend. So if we were gonna split,
but she's still outside of this office.
Oh, okay.
She is not registered with our office. She's registered with another office.
Okay.
So, and check with Ellie on that, because it sounds like you all may have differing ways of breaking up each deal, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so check with Ellie on that, because what you may end up doing is putting her further down, and I'll show you that.
Okay.
Agent role, is going to ask you, usually you're the buyer specialist or you're the listing specialist. If you are like the head of a team, you can put yourself in as lead agent. Type, the listing, is it a sale? I've never known what inside was in. I think it was, sometimes you have agents, sometimes you have teams and they have inside sales agents, ISAs, and they're people who are like calling, making appointments for agents, and they're going out and they're getting a small percentage. And this is where this would be reflected, but that's not going to apply to most, probably 98% of the guys. So just kind of know that that's there, but mostly you're going to be either saying that you're doing the listing side or the sales side.
And what did you put for agent role? You said lead agent?
Agent role is, no, you're either going to be a buyer specialist or a listing specialist.
Okay.
And depending upon what you picked up here, like for example, if I said I was a buyer specialist and it's a sale, look what happened down here. See how this one grayed out and then this one turned white? See how that works?
Mm-hmm.
That is giving you a chance to fill out the sales unit. The listing unit's grayed out because I've already said it's a sale, it's not a listing. So it's kind of kicked me out of that section. This is where people get tripped up because they don't know what a unit is. And it's a little esoteric. Almost always, your unit is going to be one. You own 100% of that side of the transaction. Okay? Only time it's going to be different is if Bob has to pay, Pete a referral, in which case it's going to be 75, assuming a 25% referral, correct?
Right.
So it's going to be 0.75. They may be on a team where they only get 50%. So it's 0.5. The lead agent may be getting the other 0.5. There's all sorts of different permutations depending upon the agreements with between the agents. However, for the most part, you're just going to be one, because it's going to be, you go out, you have a buyer, you show them the house, they buy it, you come back, one buyer, one agent, you're good. So that's going to be putting in as a 1, not 100. It's 1. It'd be easier if it was 100 because people can understand that. But that's what the sales unit is. Now, what's going to happen is, remember up here, when I put in the price and everything, let's say I put in a price of $200,000, and my sales commission was 3.0. I'm just going to put in 0 because I didn't sell it from parts, so it's confused. So if I come down here to the agent detail, look what happens. Right here. See how it filled it in? So it's at 3% of 200,000. Just like Brent said in teaming, we could almost multiply by 3. So it calculates that. Then
what if it doesn't come up for you? Mine says buyer specialist and then it says other for type. It doesn't give me the option for sale. Is that a glitch?
It could be how you filled it in, at the beginning. Like I said, I had to kind of go back and fill in a few things. So, but when you get here, it comes up with your gross commission. Now, you've got splits with the office. So depending upon your split with the office, it's going to have, it's going to be taking out stuff. You're going to have your royalty taken out of your commission. In this case, that royalty is taken out of that $6,000. Then you come down here. I mean, you don't really have any control of this. It's calculating it automatically. Now, when you get to these, they're in red, so you have to fill them out. However, you do not have to donate. They're just making you fill it out. In some cases, people go, yeah, okay, I'll throw $10 at it, whatever. $10, $5, $1, whatever. But they do have to be filled out. You can put in zeros. No judgment, really. Nobody cares. But if it has to be filled out one way or the other. Those up there, and also these two down here, QAP cares and Red Day donations. People can donate if they want to, but absolutely there's no pressure. Okay. If you, as the buyer's agent, have decided that, I really love these buyers, and it was a really tough negotiation, but I really want these buyers to have a home warranty. It's really nice of you. You're going to buy them a home warranty. Okay. This is where that fee would go, up here. Sometimes you've had a deal where the listing agreement says that you're going to be getting 3%, but in order to make the deal work after due diligence, you got a stubborn seller, you got a stubborn buyer. They're going to walk away over a $500, broken something or other, and you're like, $6,500, $6,000. I'll pay it, or I'll pay half of it, whatever. I've done that sometimes. Just to keep the deal going. I mean, everybody feels like they got something out of it, and $500 is a big deal. So that's where you would put your concession in, because you are conceding a portion of your money.
Did you concede this at closing?
No, not closing. During the negotiations.
Okay.
I think in this case it was due diligence. They got to arguing over a chandelier that had been marked as not being, part of the thing.
No, where I was going was, if you did it at closing, then you would have effectively lowered the price of the house, and so you just put, instead of being $300,000,
No,
put
still same price, but I'm giving part of my.
after the fact.
Yeah, right.
In this scenario, but had you done it at closing, then the price wouldn't have been $300,000.
If I'd done it at closing, I would have written a check and slid it across the table and said, here.
And not put it in right here.
Right. Well, I couldn't have, because, this is like long before, they've done the disbursement authorization for closing.
Dan, mine's a logistic question. So, in essence and stuff, you put the green sheet in, obviously prior to closing and so on. And when you basically put that information in there, buyer's home warranty, are you going to have to list who the vendor is on notes?
We'll get down there.
Okay.
So anyway, then, they figured up all my deductions here, and they decided that, okay, we're going to, my net check here is going to be under $6,000. So, next section. Co-broker. Notice how none of this is red. I usually just fill out the company name and the agent name just because I'm a little bit anal. Just to have it on there, just in case there's a question. This used to be required. Have you spoken to them about a career at Keller Williams?
Oh gosh, coaching, huh?
Part of your recruitment. Would this be a good fit? You might say no. You're our office.
I'm dealing with,
But frankly, there's so many Keller Williams agents in Atlanta right now. I mean, the chances of a Keller Williams agent being on the other side is probably
really
1 out of
good.
4 at this point. So that's no longer required. So just ignore that. Vendors. Home warranty information, you asked about that, so this is where you would put that in. Closing company, again, I put in the name just in case there's a question. Mortgage company, sometimes I'll put in the name. If I don't know who they're going to be going with eventually, they may have a choice of 3. I don't fill it in. It doesn't really affect anything, it's just, a data point. Now, when KW Command gets kicked in, they may require it. Only because, they're collecting data, trying to work out, sweetheart deals with other, companies. Hey, look, American Home Mortgage, 14% of our deals went through you. We need some concessions here.
Yep.
Right? Fair?
Frisbee.
American Home Mortgage is
Susie.
or whoever. So, that's that, and then the last bit is notes. This is where you could go in and say, okay, this was a referral from Tara Gaines in
California.
Thank you. I'm trying to think of town, Anniston, I think. In Alabama, it was referral, 25%, referral is in the loop or something like that. Or if you've got an assistant, they may say, Diane Black, completed for General Hospital or something like that. Just information that, like, if there's a question about it, they know who to call and say, hey, okay, what's the story here? And at that point, when you hit submit to MCA, you're going to get kicked back to a page, and with any luck at all, it'll say partially accepted. And you'll go, partially? What did I leave out? Nothing. Partially accepted is good. You've done your job. It hasn't been completely accepted because it hasn't gone through assessment by the MCA's office. They'll go through it, they'll check it, and then it will be accepted.
And you'll be notified?
No.
You have to go back in there to see if it's...
No.
If something's wrong with it, they'll let you know.
Yeah, but they'll send you an email and stuff letting you know they got it.
So you'll be notified.
Well, I mean,
but it's not going to happen from...
Yeah, I mean, if it's partially, if it says partially accepted, you're good to go. Everything else is on them. Now, it will also give you a warning saying, make sure that all of your documentation is, has been submitted to the office through dot loop, you know, when you submit, to the office. If it's not, they'll give you lots of little red, lines that tell you what you missed.
Yep.
And you just go through each one, you know, just click on it, go ahead, it'll take you, okay, I didn't fill that out properly, I didn't click this, I didn't, you know, designate that. If you get stuck on something, give one a call. Sometimes green sheets have a mind of their own, they get hung up in loops, and sometimes we just have to say, okay.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So anyway, but you can see how all this information is important to the office in being able to forecast closings. We know that we may have, you know, X number of closings in March, X number in April. We know that Dan Bangs might have a new construction that won't be closing until October. Somebody else is, you know, working on one that may not, you know, maybe closing next week. You know, well, okay, you know, all hands on deck, get them out of here. So this is really your first level of letting us know what you've got and how we can help you with it. Any questions on the green sheet? Like I said, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense until you actually have a contract and sit down and do it. And when you do that, you know, come in the office, you know, or call me and I can walk you through it on the phone, or we can do it over, you know, we can sit down in the workroom and knock it out. How long did it take us to knock it out, Ira?
It took me a long time, but you were like that.
Yeah. That's why I always, with puppy eyes, I go, Diane, please.
Yeah, he's good with puppy eyes.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. The only thing I would have to say, because like, you know, like all the fields are red are mandatory, so once that was done, the unit was definitely tricky, so I texted Stacy.
The what?
The unit, when
yeah.
it has the unit, and then like when you hover on
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff, it will have extra explanation.
Right,
So, but it was just,
Yeah,
it
but
didn't make sense.
candidly, the first time I did it, I was frustrated, but the second time I did it, and I did it without you, I just went in there and stuff, and it was a lot easier.
Right.
Right.
It just takes repetition. But I had two questions.
Okay.
So, she has a person she's working with and stuff that's outside the office and such.
Right.
And I haven't done this, but a referral fee is a standard 25%, but if you were working with someone, I guess, you know. Oh, yeah, okay.
Standard, yeah.
But
if I was working with someone, let's say we had a common buyer, you know, you can arrange the deal as you see fit, apparently, and then enter it in this.
Well, this one, it didn't pop up because I didn't have a referral.
Okay.
But if I had gone up to agent detail here, and if I had said outside referral percentage,
Okay.
if I had said, okay, 25%, then what would have happened is that it would have triggered.
The commission would adjust, right?
Of course, yeah, sure.
And then down, see where it says enter referral data for outside
Yeah.
referral?
Okay.
And then you come down here, and that's when it gives you this section. You don't see this
Okay.
section down here
Okay.
unless you have said that there's an
Got
outside
it.
referral.
So that's what I would use for my person.
Exactly.
right, so the second question I have, and this lends towards her relationship also, or anybody who's even in the same office.
Right.
If you construct that environment where you're working with someone and you guys come to your decision, okay, 50-50, 60-40, whatever, inside a dot loop, are there documents in there to
Referral.
memorialize that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you would want to
referral
include that in the loop.
Yeah, you put it in the loop, and then that
Okay.
way it's everybody's agreed and everybody's aware of what you.
Right,
that-
so even though they're Keller Williams, but her partner and stuff is outside of this environment.
Right, it's outside of
You-
this
she would
office.
She's in
still-
Rob's group, but she's in another office.
Got it, but she would want to include that document inside a dot loop
Yeah.
and stuff and share it for compliance, so to speak.
Rawls Group is a collection of offices. To each office, as far as the Georgia Real Estate Commission is concerned, is a separate
different.
entity.
Oh,
So that's why we have to treat each one separately.
okay.
Oh, I totally, yes.
I had a question. So once you submit it, there is this DA status, DA.
DA stands for Disbursement Authorization.
What was that?
That's good.
What is it?
It's
Okay.
also how it's tagged in the system. I mean, every deal has a DA number,
Okay,
disbursement authorization number.
okay.
So when it goes through this and it's accepted, it gets assigned a DA. Don't worry about that number. You don't ever have to, use that number to, hey, can you look at this? You can go into the MCA's office and go, hey, can you look at my, deal at, 135, White Horse Trail? Something's not, the numbers aren't right or whatever.
Right.
And they can pull it up, and it's, you don't have to remember all those numbers. The disbursement authorization also comes into play a little bit later, and we're going to talk about that at pay at close. Okay? So, any more questions about green sheet? Okay, so done green sheet. So we spent a lot of time on that little paragraph there. But again, you're not going to remember this when you sit down and do a contract. I mean, you might remember some parts of it, but this really kind of gives you an idea that, okay, this is what's involved with a green sheet, and do not hesitate to pick up the phone, because we'd rather you do it right than having to go back and, fix it 3 or 4 times. Earnest money. Okay, what is earnest money?
Good faith, I think, and stuff. Your intent to purchase, I think it's good faith money that you intend to purchase, and it kind of puts a reservation.
It's someone else's money that's been given to say that they're interested in a property.
Right.
Doing offer.
Someone else's
Yeah,
amount of value.
it's the money that they put on the table saying, yes, I am a serious buyer.
Right.
Don't hold those checks. Get rid of those checks as fast as possible. So you don't want those checks. You don't want responsibility for that. Plus, we have a fiduciary responsibility set forth by the state of Georgia and the Georgia Real Estate Commission that we have a certain timetable that we have to deposit these. Generally, it's run by the contract. It says the earnest money will be delivered within, at the time of the offer, 1, 2, 3 days after closing. But once you have it, get rid of it within 24 hours. Try to get rid of it the same day as you can, but get rid of it within 24 hours. And this earnest money envelope. There's a little box. You've all probably noticed it, but it's been kind of moved around with all the construction right now. In the workroom called earnest money box. These envelopes are next to the box. Just fill out the information, your name on top, the property address, the buyer, the seller, because sometimes you're not sure which one's which. Then let them know what the date is that you're turning it in. Then, because it was on a weekend or something, if you came in on a Saturday to knock out a contract or something, and you had a check, you could just go ahead and deposit it. Has it been submitted to the office? Yes, no. And then how much the check is for. There's a little gray area down here that the MCA's office documents when they received it and everything. But all you do is put the check in here. You don't have to seal it if you don't want to. Put some tape on it if you don't like to lick stuff like that. Stick it in the earnest money box.
So, okay, that's only for the checks that this office is gonna hold, right?
Correct.
And then on that question, has it been received?
Why would you ever answer no?
What? No, if you're, do you have a binding contract?
Okay, she
sometimes
didn't say that.
That's
She
right.
said I'm just putting it now.
Right.
I know the office hasn't received it.
Well, do you have a binding contract?
That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll give you a check ahead of time
Yeah.
when you're in the middle of a transaction, but you may not have a binding date for 3 or 4 days because you keep going back and forth.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
That's why.
Okay.
So just a question on earnest money. So if you have a buyer and you're making an offer, and we'll say your buyer gives you the earnest money, do you attach it to the contract? I mean, like say for example, this seller says we want to hold the earnest money, the seller's agent.
That's negotiable.
Yeah, I know that, but what if they say we're holding it, right? So now that money doesn't come to us, right?
No, it goes to them.
So it goes to them. So do you attach it to the agreement?
They never get the contract because everything's digital.
Right.
Right.
But you just have to find a way to get it to their office.
Okay.
Either the buyer can drop it off at their office, or you can run it by, or whatever.
Okay, so if it's another Keller Williams office, do we fill one of those out, or is that specific to us, or?
No, this is just specific to us. The situation you described is fairly rare.
Okay.
Builders will hold
Right.
them, but usually the builder will like ask for the check while you're sitting there writing your contract.
Right, so if I'm representing a buyer, submit a contract to the seller and their agent, and then they're saying, we'll hold the earnest money, our office.
And you'll go, no, I'm sorry, we'll be holding it, thank you very much. But most will never ask.
Yeah, what I did, what I did, is that I look at my buyers and I say, listen, it's usually 1% of what your purchase environment is. And so you're gonna make that check out to Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter, and that's almost simultaneously with showing the properties. And so when you have that stuff, you make an image of it and you put it into your .loop file. So when you send a contract offer, to whoever, Caldwell Banker, then you're gonna send that contract offer for signatures, and you're gonna basically attach, your earnest money.
Yes, I did receive a copy of it.
Okay, got it. That's I was trying to piece it together on how. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll do that in advance.
We're a big company. We're well known. We don't have anything with the Georgia Real Estate Commission that would make people think that we would go to Jamaica with their money. However, there's a lot of smaller mom and pop organizations that I would not let them hold money. If there was just a one person, if it was just a one person company or like a one or two person company, I don't know them. I've never heard of them before. And they're listing their mother-in-law's condo. I'm not going to give him $5,000. I don't want to hold on to that.
Got it.
I mean,
And that contract may fall through. I mean, that's another reason if you have a buyer client and that contract doesn't basically come to
you want to have
fruition,
control of that money so you can disperse it.
you don't want to have to go back to
Now-
the broker and go,
Right.
y'all got to send that earnest money.
Going back to class,
Better
it's just
be
another
good.
totally different situation. But if we're selling our house, don't you guys have to hold that money too?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
You mean your
You
personal
don't
house?
touch it.
Hmm?
Your personal house?
Yeah, isn't any earnest money that we are to receive? There's something, I know there's something where like, if we're selling our own house, that any of somebody else's stuff has to be in our brokerage. It can't be held in a personal.
I mean, you could make that request and stuff as the
Right, because
seller.
if you're selling it, hopefully you're selling it through Keller Williams.
No, I'm saying, isn't there some law too that if it's or like rental, like if you've got investment properties, like our monies that aren't ours have to be?
Yes, you're
Okay.
right. Okay.
That's what I was like, wait.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little wrinkle in it, but generally, we try to hold our buyers' earnest money, and if it's our listing and it's from a brokerage that we're not familiar with and nobody's ever heard of them, I'd make a play for it. I'd say, we're holding earnest money.
So that's in a situation where they requested me to have the earnest money, the closing attorney hold it.
That happens sometimes, but you'll find that a lot of closing attorneys don't do it. So it just depends on the attorney.
Okay.
Attorneys got, attorneys have, special accounts, that, they hold earnest money, and we have special accounts. This mom and pop one, I hope he's got a special account, I don't know.
Yeah, you hope, like you
I mean, he
said.
should, by law, he should,
Right.
but, and, companies this size, very easy to hold them accountable, but, some guy that, sells two houses, every 3 years, I mean, it's kind of hard to hold them accountable. So, and we want to make sure that, we kind of control the money, right? Make a copy of the check before you, put it in the loop. Sometimes the MCA's office will make a copy of the check for you. Sometimes, they get busy, they get the deposit summary. But make a copy of it, that way you can send it to the other party and say, hey, just FYI, here's a copy of the deposit. Sometimes they'll come back to you and they'll say, can we please have a copy of when you deposited it? And I'm not sure. Okay. That copy is in your loop because that's one of the things Lauren does. She handles all the deposits and everything, and then she copies.
And that's just a copy of that?
No, actually,
it's
actually a sheet of
transaction.
paper that says deposit summary.
Okay.
It has all the deposits for that day, and then it will have that address on it. And then
Okay.
you can see that it was deposited and how much it was. when you have submitted at the beginning of you got you sold a house, yay, purchase and sale, it's in your loop and everything. You submitted it to the office. Lynn's looked it over. She's made a couple of comments. Hey, yes, didn't initial the lead-based paint where the broker's supposed to sign, or you most common, where's the wire transfer? Wire fraud transfer form. That's actually the single biggest thing people forget is the wire transfer form. So, there's going to be little comments. Don't take it personally if everybody's got a comment. It's very rare that you could get through without a comment. However, it falls on you to cure those deficiencies prior to closing. And the way you do that is, lead-based paint wasn't signed, okay, fine, you sign it. You put it back in. I'd put it back in, and I would put a note next to it, because it's already in .loop, right? So I'd print it out, I'd sign it, I'd scan it, I'd put it back in, and I'd say, signed. Just next to it, that way they'll know that it's the updated one. However, I would not hit submit again, because that just irritates the daylights out of it. Because when you submit, what you're doing is you're putting this thing back into the entire process. So they have to go back in and go, okay, we already had this in here, back it out of the DA. Lynn's already looked at this. Well, I've already looked at this. Okay, what am I looking at? It doesn't go through another exhaustive review. The only time that, they may ask, and you may add to it as you're going along. You may have an amendment. You may have an amendment to address concerns. You may have an amendment that changes the closing date. You may have another amendment that says, hey, we're changing lenders. We didn't like this lender. We're going to another lender. You may have an amendment that everybody agrees that the appraisal date has been extended 3 days. Whatever amendment. You know the difference between an exhibit and an amendment?
Yes. Well, an exhibit is basically like your earnest money. You're exhibiting, you're showing them, hey, this is a deposit, and this is the earnest money.
Close. Close.
Amendment is
alteration.
No. An amendment changes the terms of the contract, and an exhibit shows something to back a contract.
Give the girl Milky Way.
So I got just a question on .loop here. So, as you go and you create these documents and stuff, you can just check in the box that that's the only thing that you're sending to share.
You could, but they don't need to see. They don't need to see bits and pieces of contracts. What's going to happen, and I'm just letting you know how it works. You're going to be adding these documents. It's your responsibility to make sure that all those deficiencies are cured. And when you get to closing, you've got 2 different ways of getting paid at closing. One, you can get paid at closing, which is really cool because you walk out of the closing holding a check. And it's made out to you. And so you can race by the bank on your way back to the office, and you can put it in the bank and you can pay your mortgage next day. Then, or you can say, okay, fine, I'll just get a direct deposit, 2 days, 24 to 48 hours later. Sometimes if you've got a closing on a Friday, you might want to get a pay at close, because otherwise you might not get paid until the following Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, because it comes into our office on Monday for processing. If you've got a 4 o'clock closing on Friday, there's no way you can get it here, before we've closed down processing for the day. So, see you later. If you want to get paid at closing, all of your deficiencies have to be cured prior to you asking the MCA's office to cut a disbursement authorization to share with the closing attorney. The pay at close is a form. It's actually in, I beg your pardon. The disbursement authorization.
It's Stacy.
That's Stacy looking for her phone.
Yeah.
Actually, it's my husband.
Well, he's looking for his wife.
I'm teaching a class. Do you need me? Okay, bye. He never calls. That's why I was like. So, I beg your pardon. The pay at close is a little form that you can find in the, it's called CLAP forms, CLAP only forms on your,
IKW.
yeah, on the MyKW, on the, dot loop. When you go into templates, you can just find that form there. I'll just show you what it is real quick. So if I wanted to add a pay close, I go to templates, and come down here to platform, and tax request right there. Now this has all the information about the deal. When you're putting it in, date of closing, do not do this when you first have your contract. This only goes in at most a week before closing, because closing dates change. Contracts fall apart. You know, Lauren gets these. She has them in her follow-up. She doesn't have a follow-up for 6 weeks from now. You know, she's got a follow-up for next week. That's her time frame. And then the numbers are going to change. The sales price might change. You know, lots of different things can change on a contract before you get to closing, right? Mm-hmm. So, basically what you're doing is you're filling out agent name, property address, sales price, CLAP commission. This is the total commission. So, for example, if you were getting that $6,000, you'd be putting $6,000 in there. It's your percentage of your, it's the full 100% of your commission.
Before the house gets their cut.
Right. Bonus. Sometimes builders will give you a bonus. You know, say, hey, get us a contract before March 31st, and we'll pay you an extra, $2,000. Mm-hmm. That's not part of the commission, but it's still reported. Any concessions, you're paying that $500 for the home warranty for this guy.
So you put a negative 500?
Concession's 500, just 500.
That just applies negative?
Right.
Okay.
FMLS, yes, no, yeah. Is there a referral? Yes, no. Information on it. If it's an outside, the company W-9. Now, if it's almost any office here in Atlanta, we probably already have a W-9 on file. We've done thousands of transactions. If it's somebody out in, Palo Alto, California, you're probably just going to have to ask them to send you a W-9.
We do W-9 on a person or the brokerage?
Brokerage.
Okay.
All money's paid to the brokerage, never paid to the agent. Earnest money held by us? Yes, no, how much it is. Now, the thing is, with earnest money checks, if we're holding the money, think about this. You're going to the closing, and you're asking the agent, you're asking the attorney to give you basically the full amount of the commission, because they're giving you a check, they're cutting a check to Keller Williams, and you're bringing the check to Keller Williams back, but you've got your own checks. But he doesn't have all the money. He's got the money from the mortgage company, he's got the rest of the down payment from the buyer, but there's still that $2,000 or $3,000 hanging out here that we're holding on to, right?
Because of earnest money.
Because of earnest money. So we have to take that back to him and say, okay.
The closing attorney.
Closing attorney. So we'll cut a check to the closing attorney's office, but you have to come by and pick it up before closing. And it's usually the day before closing.
Okay, so Ellie told me and stuff like that what they do is they take the earnest money and they keep it, and then they communicate with the closing attorney, and that there's a deduction made from, like, the check that I'm going to receive at the closing is going to be less.
Sometimes if there's like a
less
problem,
the earnest money.
sometimes they do that, but usually you come by and pick up the check.
Okay.
I mean, that's just standard practice. Sometimes there's an exception made if they can't cut a check or if the check hasn't cleared or whatever. They'll work something out. But there's this place down here on the bottom for closing attorneys. That's how they know who to make the check out to. stuff, you know, the Yannick PC or whatever. Any donations, any deductions, basically just kind of reiterating some stuff that you may put on the green sheet, or if you thought about it later on and you want to add some more, you can do that too. You put this in, then you send Lauren a note. If you look on page 3, under pay at close, send Lauren Lindsay at KW.com, an email with the subject line, PAC, pay at close. That's her heads up. Oh, I got to pay at close. The address. When it's closing. Oh, I got to pay at close 2 days from now. I got to jump on this. EM is held by SQUAC. Yeah, EM money held by us. You know, just to let them know that, oh, I'm going to have to check too. So that will help her, you know, identify it quickly and process it quickly. Now, if we're not holding the earnest money, then, you know, you don't have to pick up a check. What she's going to do is she is going to produce a form called a disbursement authorization. It tells the attorney exactly how much money you should get and how much money Keller Williams should get. And there's a big note on it saying if there's any changes to this contract at the table, this pay at close is no longer valid. If the sales price has changed for some reason, again, that's very rare, but occasionally things happen. Now, you might decide that's a lot of trouble to go through for a check, and I don't really need it anyway, you know, for another week or so. So, what you can do is you can just go straight to, you know, the closing, and you go to the closing, and they know that we're holding, say, $3,000. However, they're paying Keller Williams $6,000. So, what they're going to do is they're going to cut a check to Keller Williams for what? $3,000, because we've already got $3,000. There's no reason for me to take it over there, give it to them, please turn around and give it back to me. So in that case, you've got, you go to closing, then you bring the check back. You give it to, you actually take it, you bring it back, you'll bring back the settlement statement. It's also called an ALTA form, American Land Title Association. It's a kind of a universal form that's used for closing. You'll bring the signed ALTA form back, and you'll bring the check back. Now the check, there's, above the earnest money box, there's, what's that thing? There's a drawer. It's got there's a cabinet, and it's got 2 slots in it. And it used to be you put the checks on the top and you put the ALTA forms on the bottom. Or you put them together and you just, whichever one you could reach, you just put up there.
Yeah.
They check both of them. But anyway, but people get confused. They just put them everywhere. But you put the check in there, you scan your ALTA form, and then you put it in your loop. Because then when they get, no one ever calls.
You scan it. You put it on the loop.
You put it in your loop, and that way, when Lauren comes in and picks up the checks, you know, they bring the checks back. The check will, do not tear the check off of its little memo piece of paper. Don't think you're doing them a favor, you're not, because that way they have no way to identify the check. The little memo section of the check has the address, it has the borrower, it has all that stuff on it to help them identify where the check is. So you do that, it goes in, they look in the loop, they find the ALTA, and they cut you your direct deposit check. Most people, I think, are getting direct deposit. If not, they'll just cut you a final check. There's some information in here about leases. We don't do green sheets for leases, by the way. We just don't. Those are handled internally. The next one is referrals. We kind of went over that. The referral form is in the Keller Williams file in .loop. You can just download it and fill it out. And then you saw on the green sheet where they're documented. And at this point, you can ask questions if you know what kind of questions you want to ask, but it's until you've actually gone through it, it's kind of a exercise in theory at this point. Any questions?
So in essence and stuff with the feed of .loop, you know, once you basically enter in your information and such and it gets reviewed, then they would proactively be reaching out to the closing attorney and things of that nature in anticipation of the closing and such? Or is the closing attorney basically trying to communicate?
The closing attorney in the NCA's office very rarely communicate.
Okay.
I mean, they cut a check, you know, it's got their name on it. Unless there's a problem, like the check bounces.
But there is some interaction, and the reason why I'm asking is because, you know, like, if something's coming up and we feel inherently that we have to be involved to make sure it flows correctly, but as big brother and things run so well here, things just happen, you know, so I'm sending things in the dot loop, and obviously I'm getting information.
If you think there's anything that's going to be a little squirrely about a transaction, put it in the notes section, and then, you know, get in front of Ellie and tell her. You know, she's got a good memory for that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then, you know, just kind of like, oh, heads up, this one's a little weird because, and then.
Right, but they're receiving the information in dot loop, and they're going through the information, and then, you know, unbeknownst to us, all the stuff behind the scenes is working, is what you're saying.
Right.
So,
But we're not going. We won't be sending any money to a closing attorney until you tell us to.
right.
So, you know, for a pay close. We won't just automatically cut a check. You have to tell us.
Right,
to cut a
because
check.
when I went in
And talked to her and stuff about one of the green sheets and stuff, she says, yeah, the earnest money is here, and what's gonna happen is you're gonna receive the commission check, you know, for Keller Williams minus the earnest money, is what she said.
Well, that may have been, you know, if they worked out with that attorney. You know, for the most part, you have to pick up the check here and take it there. You
Yeah,
know.
I just said,
Unless,
look, whatever you say, I follow.
unless for some reason they've, you know, worked out a sweetheart deal with somebody. But, you know, as far as best practices, this is what.
And they would let you know if you need to bring the earnest money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, you'll get a check from closing one way or the other, you know, for Keller Williams one way or the other. It just depends on how much it is.
Right.
You know, at pay close, it's going to be less because, you know, part of it's going to you. But if it's just, you know, if it includes your commission, it's going to be probably a pretty sizable check.
Right.
Question for you, on the referrals, W-9, is that the tax document W-9, or is that like
It is.
like internal form?
No, it's the IRS
Okay.
document.
Just want to make sure.
As a matter of fact, if you refer somebody out and they ask you for your W-9, it's in dot loop under
Okay.
quack form.
Because we got it together like that.
No.
Well, it's just easier to put out there, that way you don't keep asking for it.
That's right. I'm sure you've been asked enough times going, oh my God, I'm just gonna
That's
put
why
it in here.
that's why it's on my desktop.
Yep.
Any other questions?
So just a question for you.
What?
So on a referral, so I filled out a referral and I gave it to a commercial group.
Mhm.
Should I have something back from them, like a completed form?
They should sign it.
Uh-huh.
They should sign it.
Okay, and get it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, boy,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
want.
I just
Yeah,
want
for
to
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just say, hey,
Oh,
I
you
need
want
that
that.
signed copy from Elliot. And they'll
Yes,
go,
you
oh,
do.
yeah.
You want
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Can I get Ellie's contact?
Huh?
Can I get Ellie's contact?
Ellie, Locklear, LOCKLEAR @kw.com.
Quick question, while we're talking about referrals, if you send a referral out of town to Florida, what is that procedure? Do you fax the form, do you take it, or?
Good question.
I got a buddy,
I would send it through Dotloop, so they can sign it, and fill it out and sign it. And that way it comes back to you, you signed it, they signed it, and then they have a copy of it after they've signed it, so everybody's got a copy.
So everybody, even in Florida, they use Dotloop?
Well, not everybody uses Dotloop, but, you know, you almost treat them like a buyer, like a buyer, you know, you just send them the document signed.
Yep.
But,
And referrals are only in-house from Keller Williams or Keller Williams, not out.
it can be anywhere,
Anywhere.
yeah.
But is there a form I can print and take there and have it signed? Like if I
Sure,
was
I
going
mean,
to
it's in
Florida?
Dotloop, you can just download it in Dotloop and just print it out and take it with you.
School referral, it's
Yeah,
in
you
the.
definitely want that form back though, man. And if you got a buddy, you definitely wanna hear from him, you know, that the deal's about to go down.
Yeah, it's in the template. You can search in the template.
Yeah, just, you know, search referral, and then it'll pop up.
Within the right folder. I'll search within the right folder.
Helps.
Also.
Any other questions? Clear as mud?
Yes.
We'll see in a
It'll,
minute.
it'll make more sense when you write your first deal.
Yeah, it was understandable.
But, it kind of gives you an idea of the process, the flow of how it's reviewed, if it goes through the process, so. Kind of, just tell us as much as you can, and we'll do the best we can with what we got.
I know.
When is command kicking in?
Do what? Command?
Yeah.
But they got a family reunion that, the general wisdom right now is that it's gonna be introduced to
Introduce them and like
No,
broadcast
your
it afterwards.
referral agreement.
Right.
well, rolled out in
Your
part,
referral
Okay.
agreement's
because,
gonna be with-
yeah, they're still working on getting all the,
I know.
all the people
now that
together.
they
But, you know, the,
Yeah, so that'll
but
be
the,
what they-
Kennedy
But
Command,
what
the
you do
contacts
wanna
and
do
stuff, is pretty
is you
robust
wanna
at this
include
point.
the information that
Right
goes
now,
with the
we're
client.
beta testing
You know
some
what I
of
mean?
the,
So like if your friend is, Jimmy.
it's called Smart Canvas, where you can,
Right.
you know, do your design of your,
Right.
The name of the
email,
client,
and have,
Jimmy.
you know, pretty stuff you want to set up, so.
And
Cool.
then what you want.
So they wanted the email,
You know,
not through
But if
not
they
through
don't,
Dot,
then
Don't
an
do- don't do
actual email.
this. It's
something
under
happens.
Actual email, okay.
So then you can police it for yourself.
Because that is her clue to
She
go
definitely
to your
wants
loop
to
and find it and
And
pull it out.
got you.
So could we, when we email, can we attach the PDF too, or no?
You don't need to. It's just an extra
Okay, just an-
it's
I
just
would
an
make
extra
sure
step
you
you
do
do.
different.
Oh, so we don't need to download it and email it to her.
No, only thing you're doing is you're giving her a heads up that there is a pay it close in your loop, and she will go to your loop and she will fill it.
Okay, but we just need to put the, subject line in,
Right.
and that's it.
What I would want.
Okay.
Just
Sometimes I'll
to
say,
cover your butt.
Okay, right.
You know, someone can say, well, I didn't.
Do a nice
realize.
little greeting, I got you.
And I didn't.
I thought I needed to
sometimes